I remember hearing the scratch on Code of the Streets before I heard Premiere live. So like I remember hearing the boop it, boop boop it, boop.
It's the code of the streets.
That was like something that's taught to me in a certain way, but I still didn't have turntables yet. But I remember hearing it and be like, I knew it was scratching, but I didn't understand exactly how he did it.
The biggest influence on my cutting is DJ Premier, hands down. The way he cuts phrases, he doesn't do super like intricate scratches. They're just fat and full of flavor and funky, and so that's how I've tried to model my scratches.
Just really funky, just really like oh 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 ah ah oh ah ah ah, and I was just like, wow, this ain't that fast stuff that I'm used to.
DJ Premier was a major part for us hearing scratching.
Houston's out, right?
Woo, man, that guy was crazy on some turntables.
Yeah, I was just like, I want to learn every single scratch that this guy Premier does.
DJ Premier scratches, to me, are like guitar licks, right? If you like a guitar lick, like a song from Alice in Chains, you can basically sing it. You know, dun 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 dun. That was the way Premier's cuts were, you know. Anyone who was buying Gangstar records, you could mouth the Greg N-I-C-E.
Oh yeah, it's another Gangstar short shot.
They were funky, they were musical, they had a language of their own.
And I remember the first scratch that I learned from Premier was the girls look so good. So good. And like I was just like, wow, that's so funky. That's so like.
Next.
Then I got into those kind of cuts, and I was just like, it's more about the funk and the style, rather than like the fast cuts and like power moves and all that stuff.
There's a lot of DJs out there still can't do those cuts. Just learning that is like more important than school to me at this point in my life. We're talking 13 years old, 14 years old. Like I was like, forget about school. Every lunch break, I go home and scratch.
And then you get so fine and so into battles, and then it's like you're thinking about it every single second of 6 minutes. Okay, it's fun, but yeah, you get good at that, and then you do 6 minutes on the stage, and then what do you do for the rest of the hour?
I put in a lot of hours of doing bad meaning bad, not bad meaning good, meaning bad, meaning bad, meaning like all of that stuff. But then once I got into the club, I realized that 90% of that stuff is absolutely useless to rock a crowd, because they stop and look at you and look at you crazy and go, "What are you doing?"
We were just kind of frustrated of like going to DJing for a crowd where there would be at least 30 people in front of us who wanted to videotape us, but then there was like hundreds of people just wanted to dance. So we try to keep that balance of like, doing routines, but then it's still party rock.
I remember feeling that like, oh, like even young, I put all my eggs in one basket, or like, okay, I got these routines and people know me as the Scratch Bastard. But how do I like stretch that out over, how do I do more? And so that really informed me of, okay, you can't just do one thing, you gotta be a well-rounded DJ.
Not just the technique part. We want to be able to play all kinds of genres of music while we're doing show our versatility, basically.
And then this competition popped up in Western Canada through Red Bull, and it was called Freestyle, Red Bull Freestyle.
Whereas like DMC's was like way more military. It was way more like, I'm gonna be better than you. I want to f you up. Don't talk to me. Like it was way more aggressive and all that stuff. But three style was keeping the culture of DJing alive and the creative level of DJing alive.
I mean, the Red Bull 3 style was definitely a game changer for, you know, infusing the battle scene, but also like club rocking and party rocking and things like that.
I think 3 style was needed in the DJ scene.
Don't you open up that window.
Because I saw those crowds shrink because no one wanted to watch a guy do a 6-click flare.
Three Style was an interesting community builder because it brought the scratch nerds to the club, maybe made them realize you need to play a record for the ladies occasionally, and it made the club DJs focus a little bit more on the technical abilities and not just programming.
It required a DJ to put selection at the forefront again and have the technique as its spice.
Here's the thing about 3 style, which is important. Judging that with Jeff and Bassett and Craze was, I was there because I wanted to learn. Going to Red Bull 3 style, these kids were slamming together and it was working. And I'm like, scratching my head, I'm like looking at Jeff, I'm like, how did that work? He goes, it was the energy, man, the energy. I'm like, that's all it is, it's just energy.
Three Style was based on what's called open format DJing, which is a polarizing term that just basically means you play a bunch of different genres of music when you're DJing. Three Style meant in your battle routine you put together, you had to include at least 3 genres of music. And this whole concept was based on DJing that was made popular by guys like DJ P, DJ Z-Trip, Mixmaster Mike, DJ AM.
It kind of set the bar on what we should be doing in a club. I mean, obviously, if we still had AM here, he'd surpass us all and still be, you know, showing us how to do it. Because I feel like he was a true pioneer of like what it meant to be a Red Bull 3 style like guy.
I started dating this girl that was in the Hollywood scene. And she took me to this club, and it was like, hey, let's go to this Garden of Eden club. And at the time, I'm like, damn, I was DJing nonstop at the time, but I never stepped a foot into this world. So I remember walking in, and my first instinct is to find where the DJ is, and I'm looking, and couldn't see him. And the music was like, what the fuck is this? This is crazy. Like, how is this guy playing Guns N' Roses into Tribe Called Quest, into AC/DC, into Jesse's Girl, and it was just going all over the place. Like, the girl now was pushed aside. I'm like, where the f is this DJ? And I gotta see, I had never heard that in a nightclub. Personally, I'd never heard that. And I made my way up, and I'm like, it's DJ AM.
I dug the 3 style thing because you could kind of do whatever the f you wanted. Like, I had heard everything from Purple Rain to Pantera.
It was that time when we all get together. It was like DJ camp.
But what was cool about 3 style is it adapted with the technology. I mean, even like cue points and like this idea of tone play or whatever, just like.
And I always think to myself, like, would certain techniques or scratches be the same if that kind of technology was around? If a company didn't listen to us and be like, you know, we can't have the fader bleed. The fader can't be stiff.
As technology was changing rapidly, so were people were applying the new techniques to their sets. So it was a really cool forum during a really busy time in tech development in DJ world as well.
DJ software and hardware were developing to the point where now new techniques were being created based solely on utilizing pads, looping, effects. The mixer would become an instrument just as much as the turntable was considered an instrument.
Technique.
It had a big influence on how techniques were made later. Like, now you got Pioneer that has pretty much everything we wanted back in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Like, just you know, and then some. I didn't think of even having samplers and stuff or cue buttons or any of that stuff on the mixer. We just wanted a good fader.
Freestyle becomes this big evolutionary step in DJ techniques, but it happens at this time when social media, the internet, cell phones are shortening attention spans. So what you have are these little DJ routine performance moments that DJs start incorporating into their sets in the club.
As they sold it, as they put it out into the world, they were like, we want people to be able to do this sort of dynamic DJing in front of people, but also make it work. Also make it so that you could get up as a DJ and do this sort of DJing for a room full of people and still rock the party.
But because everyone's attention span is now so short, you need to give them this wow moment every 90 seconds. So your set starts to become a collection of these routines.
It's more like you rock the party and then maybe you do some of this stuff and that kind of gets in the way of rocking the party, and then you go back to rocking the party, or you just abandon it altogether and you're just, you know, everybody hands go up.
So in this weird way, three-style DJing becomes its own style of DJing.
You get the internet and YouTube, and now you're like, oh, this is how you do this, and this is how you do this. And it spawned this whole DJ culture where everybody's doing the same scratch.
Not being able to see something or hear something or know how something was done forced you to figure it out on your own. And sometimes you just came up with this cool, unique way of doing something. And that was beautiful and it was new. And then someone would build on that and it maybe made this like whole separate lane. And, you know, the internet was this great tool, but in some ways it kind of shunned creativity because it let you see too much.
Everybody's doing the flare this way. Everybody's doing the crab this way. And I didn't grow up learning it like that. My style's a little different than most people, and I'm thankful for that, for sure.
So individuality and being different just doesn't seem like a thing that DJs pride themselves on anymore. Like
regional music scenes, for example, existed because you were just doing your own little thing in a crock pot and you didn't know everything that was happening in another market. So you developed your own individual sound that was different from someone else.
Whereas now you could tell someone, yo, you sound like this dude, and they'll be like, oh, cool, thank you. You know, it's like backwards.
Now it's almost like everyone knows a little too much. So you're getting a lot more copying instead of evolving and building upon things. And you've got this fine line between inspiration and being overly influenced.
I would watch them and try to figure out how to do it, because back then you couldn't ask them to teach you. Biting was a big thing during those days. You could not imitate their styles. You just did Scratchmatic style. You just did Arabian Night. You just did Curse. They'll fight you for that. You might even have to battle for your equipment.
To be dope like how we are.
Whole nother level.
Amazing and artistic and forward thinking. Like for kids now, they're like, why would I want to do that if I can learn what this guy does and do all this other shit, and get popping on TikTok in like a day.
J-A-Y, all the letters of his name. 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 Cutting and scratching all the aspects of his game. Cutting and scratching all the aspects of his game. Cutting and scratching all the aspects of his game. So check out the master as he cuts these jams. And check out the master as he cuts these jams. Check out the master as he check out the master as he check out the master as he check out the master check out the master as he cuts these jams. Look at the mic, my mic hands. Count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, jam 3. Jam Master J, run. Jam Master J, run. Jam Master J, run. Jam Master J, run.
So the technical level right now is not up to par with what it should be.
But every problem is an opportunity in disguise. We've got all these amazing tools now. DJ hardware has never been better. We've got STEM technology. We've got AI technology. You've got DJ schools like the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound that are turning out, you know, kids that are amazing DJs. If three-style was the last big technical evolution, it's been almost a decade. We are ripe for something new and all the pieces are there, which is actually really exciting. The only question is, what are you going to do about it?
I would still anybody up. You know who I'm talking about.